As my good friend Scott said, adding insult to injury today, CSU, who had a heartbreaking loss yesterday, is losing their leader, their coach. Nico Medved, it sounds like, is going to be heading to the University of Minnesota, where he went to school. I guess his family's from, so a lot of emotional draws bringing him back there, which is a bummer because he is a great coach, and I'm sure will do great things at Minnesota. But I'm not sure if you guys watched that game yesterday. It was a CSU versus Maryland NCAA tournament. We got a last second 3-point shot, went in to go up by one, lost on a final second, off balance, very lucky shot, but it was a great shot, went in. So good luck to Maryland moving forward. Now, I will say this. I did have CSU in my bracket beating Maryland, but I did not have them beating Florida. I feel like Florida is an absolute juggernaut. And so we will see what happens there. But this is live in Fort Collins. We come to you every week, except last week. I took the week off, and it was awesome. Took my family up to Steamboat for the week. We did some snowmobiling. We did 4 days of skiing. It was awesome. Got our kids out there, 6 and 5 years old, which I will do a deep dive video into that one. I've done a 6-part series of things to do in Northern Colorado. We'll end up with part 5 and 6, which is our snowmobiling in Northern Colorado, as well as the skiing. But I'm going to take some time and really kind of dive deep in that, because it's a significant financial investment, and I don't want to shortchange that by doing a live question and answer while I was on the hill. I wanted to be in studio with my notes to my side so that I could make sure to provide solid information based off of personal experience and research. But so we come to you live every Monday, talk to you about things that are happening, things to do this weekend, and city council reviews. And this was an interesting one because I think it was on a lot of people's minds, like, federal funding that is in question for a lot of things that Fort Collins has at the forefront of its, mind and focus. Electric vehicles, clean air, energy efficiency, clean tech. And that doesn't necessarily seem to jive with where the current administration wants to spend federal funding. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we will go through the $100 million roughly of federal funds that have been awarded, contracts signed, or in the middle of being awarded that the city of Fort Collins feels are at risk. And we'll dive through that here at the end. And then also kind of talk to you about kind of how Fort Collins and Larimer County sits with federal employees and office space and things of that nature. So stick around at the end. But last week was a beautiful week. And let's see here. Dazo, when I was leaving Fort Collins, I think on Monday, it must have opened up Monday or right around then, Monday, Sunday, somewhere around then, because I was driving along North College, US 287, College Avenue, and we're at College and Troutman, which it used to be a David's Bridal. There was a big sign going up a few weeks ago, and I was like, what is Dazo? And I didn't research it at that time, but it is a Japanese dollar store, essentially. A Japanese 100 yen shop, which I believe is essentially equivalent to our dollar store. Snacks, goodies, home furnishings, like, you name it. But the line was significant. And apparently they've got, plans to open more shops around Colorado. All I can say is, I am very excited about College Avenue and kind of the shops and the, transformation that's happening, from all the way at Midtown with King Soopers finally opening up with the vet hospital. That's going to be $200 million plus remodel. That's opening up right behind that. What happens to the old King Soopers that they just left, the development on College and Drake. And then we just have, just kind of more things happening, which are exciting, more amenities, more opportunities. We just had a client close today. I wasn't able to attend the closing. Caleb was a rock star. He's been helping us out with that new construction. And We met with this client October of 2021 at a coffee shop, and they just closed today. So talk about an amazing opportunity to help a family transition from Austin, Texas, to closing a house in Northern Colorado. But it was a great thing. Caleb was there at noon, and I don't know where I was going with that story. Just, I guess, was tooting my own horn on that one. So sorry about that. If I come back to what I was going to say. Exactly. They're closing on a home on that's just south of Ladera. And we were talking about all of the commercial growth that's happening there on Harmony and I-25, and excited for what that corridor has to offer as well. So it's just, and one of the things that she said was, she goes, I just don't want to see, a bunch of Chili's or anything like that. And there might be that comes there eventually, but like In-N-Out Burger, that's breaking ground at I-25 and Harmony, which I'm not a huge In-N-Out fan per se, but I mean, I absolutely will crush it if I'm not trying to eat healthy, which, oh my gosh. So I'm not old by any means, but last week I just didn't care about what I ate. I was a trash can. Anything that was in front of me, I ate. Anything that my kids didn't eat, I ate. I think I gained like 7 pounds. So definitely got to be a little bit more conscious of what I eat these days, and not so much of a trash can. But, all that being said, In-N-Out Burgers opening up there, and there'll be a ton, 2 million square feet, I think, roughly, at Ladera. So moving on, one of the things, Haystack Rock. So it's been pretty cool. We have our cabin up in Red Feather, so we've been driving 287 College Avenue a lot lately, a lot more than I used to. I mean, I probably would drive out to Livermore, Virginia Dale area, the Forks area once or twice a year, roughly. Maybe that's all I would really need to drive out to that area, because we wouldn't go out there otherwise. But since we got the cabin, now we go out there every 3 weeks or so, and we drive by what's called Haystack Rock. Essentially this big rock on Highway 14 out north of Fort Collins that gets painted from will you marry me signs, will you go to prom with me signs, to political signs, to peace, love, and happiness signs, you name it. It's essentially a rock that people have painted over since I was a young kid. I mean, I remember, for whatever reason, I remember actually going up Risk Canyon. I wonder if they still do this at Risk Canyon, but there's like a rock that was painted like a whale. But a couple of different landmarks in Northern Colorado that do this. And there was an article in the Colorado that asked, like, what's going to happen with this Haystack Rock? And yes, I don't think that's necessarily, I'm too worried about that per se. But what I thought was interesting was what they talked about. There's going to be 7 mile stretch that is going to be flooded to make way for the Glade Reservoir. And this is essentially, it's happening. Like, I think all the lawsuits, the NISP, Northern Supply Project, I can't remember what the I stands for, Northern Integrated, I believe. Anyways, it's like 14 different communities that all have a say in this reservoir. It's gone through the Corps of Engineers. It's happening. They are going to start moving 287 at the beginning of 2026. So, I mean, we are a year away from when we'll start to see construction on this new route of US 287 that will move east for 7 miles where it currently sits. And with the construction set to be done in late 2027 or early 2028. So, I mean, this reservoir is still probably a decade out from being operational and active, but I mean, we're 3 years out from them being able to start, construction of dams and all the projects that take place before filling it up with a whole bunch of water. So all that being said, that is happening. One of the options is to move that Haystack Rock. Another option is to leave it for like a scuba diving spot, because this Glade Reservoir will be a recreational reservoir, and what we believe will be motorized boats accessible there. So, I know that there's Save the Pooter, and from my understanding, now actually what's interesting is the Glade Reservoir doesn't contribute or supply water to Fort Collins. It supplies water to surrounding areas in northern Colorado, and but doesn't necessarily supply water directly to Fort Collins. So, but it will be a huge recreational opportunity. I mean, Horsetooth Mountain, Horsetooth Lake Reservoir is a massive recreational opportunity for people. And this is really not too far north Fort Collins. I mean, from my house, it is about 30 minutes, and so from North Fort Collins, it'd be about 10 to 15 minutes. So a huge recreational opportunity coming in the future in North Fort Collins, which, speaking of which, greetings from Boise, Idaho. Greetings. We are working with a client that relocated here from Boise, Idaho. We, actually don't have too many clients that relocated from Boise, but greetings. Thanks for watching. Let's see here. We'll keep moving on. Speaking of recreation and opportunities, we talked with a lot of people. Somebody commented on one of our videos, what do I think about Vine and LeMay, which is northeast Fort Collins, and big proponent of all the activity that's happening in northeast Fort Collins, from Bloom, Saunders, Rudolph Farms, Montava, Saunders East, Country Club Reserve. There is a significant amount of development happening in northeast Fort Collins, and a lot of paved trails are slated to go in that area. And it looks like we're prioritizing 22 miles of new trails. Now, this is in the next 1 to 15 years. Crazy. I'll give a second for everyone to answer if they want to. What do you think it would cost for one trail mile in Fort Collins to be built? Now, I'll leave it. I won't answer it for a few minutes. So if you have an answer, leave it in the comments, and then I'll get to it here in just a second. But additionally, they're going to connect the Spring Creek Trail to the Poudre Trail of about 5 miles there as well, which is awesome, because on one of my videos that I did, trails in Fort Collins, bike trails in Fort Collins, you can take from my house, Fossil Creek Trail to Spring Creek Trail, to Mason, to Power Trail, to Poudre Trail. I mean, they all connect, and it's phenomenal. There's about 46 miles currently, with another, I think, 70 or so miles coming, or at least in our strategic trails map, coming here soon. But that trail that could connect Spring Creek at basically Spring Canyon Park to the Poudre Trail by way of going through Hughes and other areas would just be an awesome, awesome connection for sure, especially because I don't know where it would stop or end necessarily, but when people do the dams, the Horsetooth Dams ride, which I've done on my bike a ton of times, you can go south to north and north to south. But when you're coming back from north to south, you're riding along Overland Trail and some busier roads. Then you connect up with Spring Creek, and then you can jump on your trail system from there. So excited about that west connecting trail as well. But let's see if anyone answered or agreed to answer. 10,000 per mile. Man, that would be we'd fly through building those. $1.8 million to build 1 mile of trail. What? It's $2 million per mile of paved road. So that's wild to me. I don't understand. Trails cost about $1.8 million per mile. Wild. So it will take time based off of our current budget and everything along those lines, and however we pay for that. But more paved trails coming to Fort Collins, which is always exciting. Just a great trail system already, but going to get even better as we move forward. Let's see. Rodney put up $500,000. Yeah, I mean, 1.8 million, 3 times that, Rodney. Crazy. But Northeast Fort Collins is going to see a lot of those trails being built and brought in. All right, let's see here. We're going to keep moving on. Okay, talk about fun things to do. I guess this is I should have named it Recreation Fort Collins, but PBR, Professional Bull Riding, was dropped from Cheyenne Frontier Days, and who picked it up? Canvas Stadium. So Canvas Stadium on July 21st and 22nd is going to have the daddy of them all, essentially. Well, I guess that's Cheyenne Frontier Days, so we can't call it that, but we'll have a PBR event at Canvas Stadium along with concerts. So we'll have 41,000 people potentially able to go watch some rodeo in Fort Collins, which in my lifetime, I'm sure there's been maybe some rodeo events, but not like a big one like this. Usually have to go to Greeley or Cheyenne Frontier Days. But man, Fort Collins, July 21st and 22nd, I'm guessing that's going to be pretty popular, as well as the concerts. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But that's exciting. Coming to Fort Collins, July 21st and 22nd. Very cool. All right, I do want to jump in a little bit about Colorado State University. One thing that was super interesting. Now, obviously, like, you know, I was a basketball player. I love basketball, but I think it's important, you know, when we talk about Fort Collins, because as I've mentioned many times before, ultimately CSU is the backbone and foundation of Fort Collins. So we hope and want CSU, Colorado State University, to be strong. Largest employer, 35,000 enrollment, huge for our economy and health of Fort Collins. And sports, right, wrong, or indifferent, specifically football, but basketball is kind of right behind it, are a huge advertising revenue generating opportunity for the university. Football definitely is the lion's share. We had a podcast with Joe Parker, the former athletic director of CSU, on our podcast, and he pretty much says football pays for everything. But, you know, it doesn't mean that our other varsity sports aren't important. And Nico Medved has been with CSU for 7 years and just left for, or is leaving for, I should say, the University of Minnesota. So the next question is, and I thought this was kind of interesting and some history on me as well, is, let's see here. Okay, options for a potential head coach moving forward. The front runner, and it sounds like this guy's probably going to get the job, or at least be offered it. And if he doesn't, he probably is going to go somewhere else. So it'd be kind of sad to lose him. But Ali Farouk Manesh, and I'm terrible about saying that name, I should know him. He's the head assistant coach for Nico, very much the front runner for the job. But there are other coaches in line too. And I thought one name specifically that jumped out was the current coach of San Jose State, which is Coach Tim Miles. And I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Coach Tim Miles, because when I was at CSU, and the world works in amazing ways, don't get me wrong, and I'm glad that it didn't work in this way, but CSU, Tim Miles was, I think, a new coach or incoming coach. Anyways, they held an open tryout for 3 spots on the Colorado State University basketball team. And I had an injury in high school, but I was feeling good, and I came back and I was like, you know, I'll try out just for fun. I think there was like 160 kids or something like that tried out for these 3 spots. And I was the last person cut from these tryouts, and which it would have been a blast to have been on the CSU team. But from that, I started to feel my hamstring, which is what I injured in high school, like feeling really good. And I called my high school coach or track coach, and I said, you know what, I think I can actually jump again. And so he called, got me a special tryout with the track team, and got onto the track team. Fast forward, found my future wife. And so I'm glad I didn't make the CSU basketball team so that I could join the track team. But Tim Miles was the coach at that time, and he was just a very kind, generous person. He called me, let me know that he was sorry that, you know, I wasn't going to make the team, but that he was appreciative of me trying out. And it was a hard decision between me and this last person. So I've always held a special place in my heart. So if he does come back, hopefully he would choose to stay here for the foreseeable future. The one thing that's been really tough, and it seems to still be the case for Colorado State University, is we still are somewhat of a jump-off spot for coaches. Coaches will come here, football and basketball. If they do well, they will be recruited quickly for or sought out, headhunted quickly for larger universities. So we need a coach. I was hoping maybe that Nico is going to be that basketball coach, the Sonny Lubick of basketball, where Sonny Lubick, when he was in his heyday, I think got recruited to, or like basically headhunted to go be the University of Miami's head football coach, if I believe I'm getting that story right, but chose to stay in Fort Collins and built a great football program for 20 years. And hopefully we find that in our next Colorado State University basketball coach. But regardless, it is what it is. I wish Nico nothing but the best. And let's see here. We will keep moving on. Let's see here. Seagolf C said, per the COSA in 2014 it cost an average of 450,000 miles per mile. Crazy to see it 3 times in a decade. Totally. I mean, $1.8 million for a bike trail seems a bit much, but I'm guessing they're spot on because they just finished the Pooter Trail, and so they probably know. All righty, let's jump into the federal funding of Fort Collins. What we are slated to receive, what is kind of possible that is going to be cut, and hopefully you guys can see this. If I need to, I can't zoom in too much more, but it's broken into different categories. We ultimately receive about $100 million from federal funding, $98.5 million. At risk is roughly $41 million, saying that we don't have necessarily contracts in place and signed or funds, guaranteed. And those are all in our kind of salmon color. So let's kind of go through some of the big ticket items that are at risk. Specifically, electric vehicle charging and planning. So this 371 is for the planning and design of a smart grid electric vehicle for the city's fleet. And then this $11.7 million was for the actual building and construction of these, electric vehicle stations. And it looked like 29 proposed locations. So this is at risk. Definitely something that would have helped towards our 2030 emission reduction goal. From there, there's some other ones, but then I wanted to talk to here, $4.5 million. And this was specifically for our commercial building owners and adopting updated building energy codes. We just talked not too long about our BPS, building performance standards, that went through the city of Fort Collins, and they're saying, let's pause on this. Let's do a kind of a trial run with some of our buildings. But they were estimating that it was going to cost $200 million from commercial building owners in the city of Fort Collins proper to upgrade their buildings to become energy efficient over time. Now, it was going to not necessarily be like you have to do it tomorrow, but it was going to be about $4 to $6 per square foot to update buildings. And maybe this $4.5 million would have helped some of these building owners offset some of those costs. So that is at risk. Broadband equity, that's great. $3 million for the North College Community and Growth Management Area in partnership with Laramie County. So that's connections. Excited to see that still in play. Air monitoring, $310,000. I'm not jumping over these things that are not important. I'm just wanting to get to kind of the more big ticket items. This $1.7 million. I remember this was kind of our safe streets. Essentially, it was going to kind of put together a plan, an audit to identify safety standards and policies in Larimer County and the city plans to help make sure that our roads are as safe as they can be, and not necessarily build anything, but provide solutions for the future to make sure that our roads and safe. We have a vision zero fatalities or serious injuries on our roads. I think it's by 2028 or 2030. But our goal is to have 0 fatalities or serious injuries on our roadways, including pedestrians, bike traffic. So this would have gone a long way to help put plans in place to do that. Keep it going down here, $1.8 billion. This was for funds to support a battery electric bus purchases, $1.8 million. We're trying to get to more of an electric bus fleet. All right, and then here's our final ones. And these are some, and from my perspective, pretty big ones, because this was like, this $10 million was for our Foothills Transit Station and Roundabout on West Elizabeth for the bus rapid transit system. And, that's on the chopping block potentially, which could put in jeopardy our Elizabeth, next kind of our Elizabeth bus rapid transit system. So we have one right along Mason, and then this was going to be built out along Elizabeth. It's going to be a $100 million project, of which $10 million was going to be coming from federal funds. So definitely a big deal. Air quality issues, nearly $5 million, $4.6 million for air quality, and then another $2.5 million for bus stop upgrades, including ADA upgrades. So $41 million is currently not secured, contract signed. So it's kind of up in the air if we're going to receive these funds or not. And then let's jump into, well, how does Fort Collins federal employees and leasable square footage look? So here's kind of some of the things that we just talked about. Some of the concerns they have. Now, these last two are more speculative, but between tariffs and federally employed and personnel in Northern Colorado, possibly less income, less city sales tax. So they're concerned about potential revenue shortfalls moving forward. And also, again, another speculative is project delays due to lack of permitting and project cost increases due to tariffs. But, these are just their best guess on what impacts could be happening. Here is how the city of Fort Collins and surrounding area of Northern Colorado is currently situated with federal employees and leasable square footage. 1,650 to 1,800 federal employees, with it up to 2,600 in the larger area of Northern Colorado, or excuse me, I think Larimer County. So, it's definitely a pretty decent sized, I believe our employment base is 70,000 employees in Fort Collins. So, what is that? 700, so it's 14, 21, 4% roughly, or right around 3 to 5% of our employees in Fort Collins are federal employees. City of county also has over 900,000 square feet of federally leased space. Now, that's not a little amount of space by any means, but it's not a game changer either. Now, obviously, we would not, in our current office environment, we don't want or need any more vacant office space. But, people are coming back to the office. Office space seems to be relatively popular, but 900,000 square feet of commercial space. Okay, let's jump into things to do this weekend. It's going to be 80 degrees this week, so make sure to get out and enjoy yourself. Spring sports for City of Fort Collins Recreators starting, where our kiddos are starting flag football. But other things to do this weekend are Trail Running Film Festival on March 24th tonight at 6:30 p.m. at the Lyric. It'll be about 2 hours. You can still buy tickets. There'll be 2 to 20 minute length videos of trail running. I will never do trail running. One, I don't like running too much. I will do it every now and again. We do a triathlon once a year because Janae likes to, and I'll suffer through it. But trail running seems like even 100 times worse. But if you are into that kind of thing, there are some short videos, 2 to 20 minute long videos. It will take about 2 hours this evening. And it's a minimum donation. So basically a ticket cost of $5. And then this March 29th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., International 5K Color Run, benefiting, let's see here, Indian students and Hindu celebration of Holi. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, which honors colors, love, and spring. The ticket prices on this are $15 to $30. And so if you're looking for another 5K, again, running, not my thing. Well, that is all I've got today for Living in Fort Collins. I appreciate you guys watching every Monday. It's great to be back and batteries re-energized. And make sure when I put out this video to have a watch. Northern Colorado activities in winter have been a very underperforming. I almost didn't even make these last 2 videos because they don't seem to do well for videos, but I thought that they were really great insights of what you could do, costs, safety, activities. So if I can ask you, watch those videos when they come out here in a few weeks, and I'll definitely dive deep into skiing. But appreciate you guys watching, and until next time, have a great day.